Welcome to episode 96 of Black, White, and Blue in the South, the podcast discussing Democratic politics with a Southern flair. I'm Bill Kimler.
I'm Jamil Brooks.
And we're coming to you from Greenwood, South Carolina, a little red county in a rather red state. If you like what you hear and think others ought to be listening as well, then you need to hit pause right now and leave a rating for our show. Write a short review. Tell your friends about us, interact with us on social media, or better yet, enjoy this best of release featuring choice cuts from a year ago on topics that are very much relevant today. Jamil and I will be back next week with a very special episode as we head to North Charleston, South Carolina and get into some good trouble with some candidates out there. But as always, let us know what you think by dropping us a note at blackwhiteblueinthesouth@gmail.com. We really want to hear from you. You can also interact with us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. So take a quick peek at those award-winning show notes on your podcast app, where you can find links to all of those accounts, the news items we talk about, and more. And now, on with the show.
From episode 69, I asked an underdeveloped question, released on September 3rd, 2025.
And this last news clip comes from Boston. And as you know, the National Guard has been deployed to cities throughout the country with threats of even more cities. The mayor of Boston, her name is Michelle Wu, received a letter from U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, and she went and did a press conference in public with the city's response. Let's watch.
We're here again today because last week, Boston received a letter from the Attorney General of the United States on official letterhead from the federal government threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. At a time when this federal administration is already causing so much fear and harm in our communities, these threats are serious and consequential. But our same communities have told me, loud and clear, that silence in the face of oppression is not an option. The U.S. Attorney General asked for a response by today. So here it is.
Hold on, I want to pause right there. I remember a statement you made early on in our podcast. There's power in the pause.
There it is.
This is a woman that utilizes those pause. She wields it like a sword. It's incredible. Yeah. She's mastered it. I love this mayor.
Here is our response. Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Yeah. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. And Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for. We will not! We will not back away from our community that has made us the safest major city in the country and a leading example of why cities around the country make this country safer, healthier, and more prosperous for all Americans. To all the federal officials attacking communities that embody diversity, creativity, and moral clarity, we mayors said this in D.C. nearly 6 months ago, and I'll say it again today. You are wrong on the law, and you are wrong on safety. Most of all, you are wrong on cities. The cities that live in your minds are totally foreign to the residents living in our cities. And we are picking up the pieces of your failures to deliver on your promises. Under the Trump administration, groceries are less affordable. Housing is harder to build. Cures for cancer are farther away. And good news on our economy has been as hard to find as the Epstein list.
Bringing the heat.
I love it. You know, she has been one of the ones that have been a rock star. She is not backing down, and I love it.
I love it too.
Goodness.
From episode 70, I asked an underdeveloped question, part 2, released on September 10th, 2025.
Your South Carolina representatives at work.
This week, I want to turn our attention to South Carolina State Senator Wes Climer from Rock Hill. Have you heard of him before?
I haven't.
Yeah, he's been pretty quiet, but the reason why he's getting some news mentions recently is because he announced his intentions to run for U.S. Congress in South Carolina District 5 to replace Ralph Norman, who himself has announced he's running for governor of South Carolina. You see how all those dominoes fall.
Yeah.
So he's looking to move up into the U.S. Congress. So I figured, well, since he may be a next congressman from South Carolina, let's get to know him.
Okay.
So first, I want to play a couple of clips from him. I really can't say I know much about Wes Climer, but I have watched him debate about the South Carolina school voucher program as part of the state Senate. Mm-hmm. In this first clip, he's fielding a question from fellow Senator Daryl Jackson from Columbia.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, it's important to note that Senator Jackson is African-American and Senator Climer is white, so I'll just leave it at that. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to figure that part out for yourselves.
Yeah.
So let's watch this clip and hear their exchange. And then I want to get your opinion on what you just saw.
Okay.
Will the Senator yield for the last question?
Yeah.
And Senator, again, the only reason I did get up to ask that is that I just took offense to saying that the only way you can have school choice if you make almost $200,000 in South Carolina is to have the government pay for it.
Senator,
I didn't know some of my friends on the other side love government checkbooks so much.
Senator, I think as someone who says the word equity a lot,
right.
let me come back to you with an equity argument.
Who says the word equity?
I've heard you say it a few times.
You haven't heard me use the word equity.
So all of these parents, regardless of their income, are paying the taxes.
All right, so we'll stop it right there. What are your impressions of that exchange? What did you pick up on?
The man said, first of all, that was a shot. He tried to take a shot at Senator Jackson because he said someone who always says equity, but he looked at him like, okay, you're a black man and you're always crying for equity, so we're going to make sure that not just you have equity, everybody have equity. And then Senator Jackson was like, I didn't say it. This dude got a problem with people. Oh, he can't be governor.
So would you consider that a little tad racist?
Not a little tad, extra racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you looked at a black man and just assume they're always talking about DEI. That's where it came back to. You always mention equity. You didn't hear a damn thing that man has said.
Nothing about equity.
No. So that, to me, starts to tell me a lot about this gentleman's character. And he truly is extreme. Here's another clip where Senator Climer, Wes Climer, is asking a question of Democrat Senator Russell Ott. Now listen to this exchange.
Senator, were you aware that I think the principal utility of a testing regime in schools is to get useful data about student progress?
Agreed.
Yeah, all right. So a standardized test that's administered statewide, were you aware, is predicated on a standardized curriculum. Were you aware of that further?
Sure.
And were you further aware that many private schools have a completely, entirely different curriculum than is present in public schools?
Absolutely.
So, for example, further were you aware, take the case of my children. They learn Latin. They have a class where they memorize scripture and poetry. They go to a school where there's not a battery in the classroom. No battery powered, no computers, no calculators, no nothing. They learn math on an abacus. And so were you aware, Senator, that if my children took the standardized testing on the same grade levels as their public school peers, the tests would be completely irrelevant as a measure of the efficacy of their school, because they're not even taught the same thing. And so then my question becomes, Senator, what's the point of subjecting people to a testing regime that by its very essence would deliver useless results?
And so we'll leave it there. So what did you learn about Senator Climer's kids?
They're going to get left behind.
Yeah, because I think knowing Latin and memorizing scripture really applies in the workplace.
They're going to get left behind, and someone like him will do whatever he can to make rules and regulations that will protect that particular population.
I work in technology. You know how many times I have to pull out my abacus? I mean, they're learning abacus.
Abacus.
Not allowed to use calculators or technology.
Here's what he showed you. He showed you that instead of doing something that would benefit the whole state, his thought process and the way he will govern will be to benefit a pocket of people in that one response.
So the point here is he can send his kids wherever he wants. That's not an issue. But to use our tax dollars to pay for kids to learn Latin and the abacus as the only, course curriculum, and then to say that the standard testing that applies to the rest of the state doesn't apply to them because they're learning completely different things.
And here's where sir, most all schools teach a foreign language. Latin is a foreign language. So don't say, oh, my kids are learning Latin. Well, if your child goes to a public school, some of them may teach Latin. There's a variety of different languages that they can teach. But we're going to teach what they can use and be functional in society. Isn't that the purpose of education?
But not to have items with batteries in the classrooms, no calculators.
Strange.
That just is weird.
So it would make me want to know, how does he vote when it comes down to any type technological bills?
Yeah. So he didn't name the school, but I did some research, and I'm going to guess, and I could be wrong in this guess, that he's referring to Providence Classical School in Rock Hill. Let me pull up their website, and I want you to see this with me. All right, so we're looking at the website for Providence Classical School, and let's take a look at their mission statement. Would you read that out loud there?
Oh, we exist to cultivate students of wisdom and virtue by educating to the highest standards of the classical Christian tradition for the glory of God.
All right, so that's what we want to send public dollars to. Now, listen, I've got nothing against Christian education. I went to Catholic school, right? Middle school and high school. Okay. I get it, right? So I get it, but I just don't see my tax dollars going to a school whose purpose is the Christian tradition for the glory of God. But one thing that came out to me is that they are accredited by the Classical Latin School Association. That is a national association. And to get accreditation by this association, and I read this in an article, somebody did an expose on them. You just submit a self-study to the body, and then you invite the staff for an on-site visit. Schools wishing to obtain accreditation must pay a $150 application fee and cover the expenses related to the visit, according to the association's website. There is a fascinating deep dive into this group that was performed by the Courier-Journal in Kentucky. So I'll leave it up to you to check that out in our show notes.
Okay.
But this feels almost cult-like.
Yeah.
Rather than true education for the public good.
When I saw the site, I went, I bet every one of the people that's on the board for the Moms of Liberty work there.
You think? So I just found that an interesting background.
In that right here. But it seems that he doesn't want to do standardized testing because it's irrelevant. But it seems that on October the 20th, they'll be doing the PSAT.
Oh, and the SATs on October 6th.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Okay, but it's not worth it.
Right.
Okay.
So the arguments that Wes Climer made, he is one of the more extreme members of the Senate from all the hours that I've watched. And you're going to see a lot of the same coming out of his congressional campaign. So whoever is running against him, whether it's on the Republican side or on the Democratic side or independent side, I wish you the best.
Yeah.
Because Wes Climer is a scary fellow.
He's not it.
From episode 74, The One Thing Americans Love More Than Guns, released on October 15th, 2025.
Before we interview Josh over here, so we got to talk about why we brought you here, right? Jonah.
I was going to say we might interview Jonah too.
Yeah, why
wait, Jonah, is that your first name, Josh?
Yeah, I was going to ask when he was getting here.
Oh my gosh, Josh. Well, anyhow, it was polite of you to continue the conversation.
No, that was a delayed reaction.
I've gotten Jonathan. I've gotten Noah. I've gotten everything except Jonah.
I've gotten asshole, but that's a different story. Before we interview Jonah over here, we should do an icebreaker.
Okay.
Because this is his first time doing a podcast.
Okay.
So was that the soundboard or was that you? I can't tell anymore.
That's really me.
That was you? Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Good to know.
I got to come up with new words. You are so done.
In order to break the ice, I have a game to play because he looks kind of nervous, right? So let's play a little game together to gain some comfort with each other, to interact and kind of loosen the mood here. How's that sound? All right. Over the summer, Politico published an article titled "The Woke Words Democrats Should Cut from Their Vocabulary." Are you familiar with Politico?
Unfortunately.
Yes, okay. They were quoting another party called Third Way. So I'm going to quote from the article here. In a new memo shared exclusively with Politico, the center-left think tank Third Way, center-left, is circulating a list of 45 words and phrases they want Democrats to avoid using, alleging the terms put, quote, a wall between us and everyday people of all races, religions, and ethnicities. It's a set of words that Third Way suggests people simply do not say, yet they hear them from Democrats. Woke words. That's what they've got a list of. 45 woke words and phrases. So here's the game. I'm going to present 3 words or phrases, and you have to guess which one of those 3 was one that Third Way has tagged as a no-no to use.
Okay.
You understand the rules? Simple enough?
Yeah.
Okay, before we begin, I'll go ahead and share 5 of their 45 words and phrases so you get a feel for what kind of things have they flagged as things you should not be using out there. Get an idea. So here are 5 that I picked at random. Phrases you should avoid as Democrats in talking with people. Do not use the word microaggression. Do not use the word or phrase cultural appropriation. Stay away. That's a no-no. Do not use the phrase food insecurity. Do not use the word dead naming. And do not use the acronym BIPOC. Do you know what BIPOC is?
No.
Oh, that's Black, Indigenous, People of Color. Black or Indigenous.
Wow.
It's sort of a way of trying to separate Black and Indigenous people from the same category as like Asian people.
Yeah.
He got it right. Jonah
right.
pays attention, so he knows those phrases. Anyhow, you can't say that ever again. That was the last time you're allowed to use that phrase.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what's throwing me off here. Okay, go ahead, Bill.
Well, these phrases, according to Third Way, have a subtext about them. They convey additional messages if you drop them into a conversation. So we want to avoid them. So anyhow, let's play the game. I'll provide 3 words. You tell me which is a Third Way, no way.
Music.
Welcome to the We Knock Woke game, where we try to avoid words and phrases that alienate us from the general population. I am your host, Bill Kimler, and we have 2 contestants today, Mr. Jacob Cooley. Jonah Cooley, just kidding. And we also have Dr. Jameel Brooks, who knows what none of these words mean anyway.
Exactly.
It's going to be an entertaining game. Let's go through 5 rounds and see who emerges victorious.
Okay. Let's go.
All right, round 1.
Okay.
Here are the first 3 words. You tell me which one is forbidden by Third Way. Incarcerated people. Both sides of the aisle. Or fascism.
Ding.
Oh, we have somebody buzzing in.
Is it fascism?
We have an answer for fascism.
Is it
no, we can say that?
Is it incarcerated people? They want us to say prisoners.
Do they want us to say prisoners?
I guess so. We have to say it.
Oh, I can't think like those people.
Jonah's right.
I can't think like them. Oh, let's go.
So we have 1-0.
Yeah.
Jonah. Now, Jonah, you get to answer. No, I guess whoever buzzes in, that's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
So it is 1-0. Jonah is ahead of Jameel. No, you're allowed to say both sides of the aisle, and you're allowed to say fascism. But you can't say incarcerated people. According to Third Way, this says the criminal is the victim. The victim is an afterthought.
I'm going to struggle with this game because it's not clicking to me. Okay, go.
All right, round 2.
How could they say that?
The three phrases are cultural appropriation, diversity.
You already gave us that.
Oh, did I give you that already?
Yeah, I was about to say buzz.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy, this is why I don't prep late at night, right? Because I goof things up. Yeah, I gave that away as one of my example 5 words, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right, that was just me seeing if you paid attention. All right, we'll skip round 2, go right to round 3. Ex-desert, like food desert or healthcare desert. Toxic masculinity or body shaming. Which of those 3 are you not allowed to say? We have Jamil buzzing in.
You can't say anything like desert.
Okay, ex-desert.
No, you said that in your example.
I did not.
Did you
All
not?
right, Jonah, go ahead.
Toxic masculinity. Is that the one?
Body shaming.
Really?
Body shaming is a phrase that, according to them, says, I'm more empathetic than you, and you are callous to hurting others' feelings.
Oh, boy.
So don't use the phrase body shaming. All right, that
Anything
was
they're
round
starting
3.
to sound a little woke.
Yeah.
I'm just...
All right, let's try another. We're going to round 4 now.
I got to at least get one right.
We're going to round 4.
Go.
The 3 words are cisgender, the phrase social liberal, fiscal conservative, or 3 climate resilience. Do you need a repeat?
Buzz.
Cisgender, social liberal, fiscal conservative, or climate resilience? Jonah wants to go first.
I'm going to say climate resilience because I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that they would... And we're saying words that are woke.
Words that are woke that you should not use in conversation.
So they don't want us to say cisgender.
You are correct, Jamil.
Yeah.
According to them, using cisgender in conversation says your views on traditional genders and gender roles are at best quaint.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, now we actually have a tie here. It is 1-1.
Do we have a tie?
yeah.
We have a tie. I've been keeping score. So we have a tie 1-1. We go into our 5th and final question. Let's see how you do. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The 3 choices are privilege, triggering, or safe space.
Ooh.
Privilege, triggering, or safe space. All right, Jamil's buzzing in first.
I'm going to say privilege.
Jonah, did you have a different answer? I'm curious.
I was going to go with privilege. And if she was wrong, I was going to go with safe space.
Yeah.
Well, this actually was a trick question. All 3 words are on the list. Privilege, triggering, and safe space. You would have gotten a point regardless. This is one of those give everybody a trophy moments.
Yeah.
Good
Again
job.
with the wokeism.
Yeah.
They were all on the list. According to Third Way, those 3 words say, I'm more empathetic than you, and you are callous to hurting others' feelings. So anyhow, we thank you for playing Avoid the Woke Word Game.
Oh my God. Bill, what if somebody makes this a game? Can't you see this like coming on 6 p.m.
After Jeopardy.
or something?
Well, if you need the full list of words to avoid, of course, we will have that list available in our show notes. Take a look at that article, study it up, and whatever you do, do not use them in casual conversation. Otherwise, I don't know, you'll be branded as woke. So anyhow, how'd you enjoy that game? Should we have a round 2 at some point?
Yeah.
No.
I struggled with that game though. Like I could not turn my brain, like I can't turn my brain off from being aware.
And at points, it felt more like they were just worried about using these long phrases.
Yeah.
2-word phrases.
Or they were just afraid to be honest and say what we really mean.
Right.
Like why we got to tiptoe around what we know to make sure that the other individuals feel okay with what we're saying. I don't think we got to tiptoe.
No.
I don't like
think
the
what they
list.
should have done was offer an alternative phrase. If they're going to tell you what words not to use, what should we use to convey the same meanings that those words are used to fill in? You know, if we wanted to talk about safe spaces, right?
Yeah.
We need them.
Yeah.
You know, some of us more than others.
Yeah.
If you can't say that phrase, what should you say? And they didn't offer that. It was just all slapping of the wrists.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, that phrase is not allowed either. Now I'm nervous. I don't know what I can say or what I can't say.
I know.
From episode 73, Tough Times for Nonprofits, Part 2, released on October 8th, 2025.
Again, coming back to the most ignorant statement you've heard.
We said there was more.
Let's talk about this little piece of ignorance up on the screen right now. So, Teresa, would you describe what it is we're looking at and what we're showing our audience?
We are looking at the first flyer that came out to talk about Christmas through the colonies, which was the selected parade theme for the 2025 Greenwood Christmas Parade.
Now, we talked about this an episode or so
just
ago.
Let her read that part down at the...
Oh.
Read that part for me.
Yeah, listen. This is the part that sent me to the moon.
Come on now.
It says, think 1776.
Yay.
But make it festive. Santa suits, powdered wigs, parading patriots, and Christmas spirit from every colony.
Ain't that some shit?
So we have an annual.
Yes, it is.
We have. Well, I gotta get my bleep button out.
Get your button out, Bill. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do right.
But feel free. We're okay. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago, and here in Greenwood, South Carolina, there's an annual Christmas parade. And by the way, most people don't realize it is a themed parade every year.
Every year.
Last year, what it was, Hollywood Christmas, right?
It was like
you were on a platform with Scrooge, weren't you?
Yeah, because we had to do it. It had to be a Christmas movie theme.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So there is a theme every year. This year, because they're trying to align it with the 250th birthday of the United States, they wanted 1776 powdered wigs. Now, when people were grumbling about it, this was a decision made by the city to put out this theme. And then Teresa put up a Facebook post that went quite viral. and I don't know if you want to read the whole thing to us, Teresa, or you just want to hit the highlights. But what were some of the concerns you raised when you saw this? Why are you so opposed to powdered wigs? What's the hang up here?
Well, I didn't necessarily have an opposition to the powdered wigs. Here, and people forgot that I asked a question.
You did.
That actually never was answered. My question, I never said...
Oh, it was answered in the comments, all right. We saw it was answered.
Yeah, if you had to put a little thought to it. But the thing about it was, what I asked for was their reasoning. Why would you select this as your theme? It did not communicate community. It did not communicate unity. It did not communicate Christmas. Because if you do your historical checks, Santa Claus wasn't even a thing back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, Christmas was almost a pagan holiday at that point.
Yes.
So it's a lot more than just the racial overtone.
Yep.
You didn't fact check anything for 1776. As a woman, as a person of color, my folks were enslaved in 1776. So how exactly do you want me to participate?
We can't come.
And I think that they actually thought that was cute. And here's the other thing. I don't have a problem with folks deciding, hey, we want to celebrate the 250th year of our nation. But last I checked, we had a holiday for that already. It's called the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. So why not do a 4th of July parade and allow whoever would like to celebrate to celebrate? But, maybe I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I just thought this totally missed the mark. It was ignorant and not well thought through, and it did not communicate community at all.
Well, I think the city heard you loud and clear, because the next day they took down the theme and they apologized in, I guess, a manner that Jamil didn't fully buy into, but there was something of apology made, an explanation made, and they said, we're going to go back to the drawing board and think it through. And just a couple of days ago, they came up with Plan B. So let's talk about this new poster, this new theme, and how it's so radically different than what they had asked for before. Jamil, you want to give a little summary of what you see here?
Yeah, so...
What's the new theme of the Christmas parade?
It is a celebration of community and the season, wrapped in red, white, and blue.
And let's just go ahead and not call it, the next iteration. This is flyer 1.B.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
so
a 1.A or higher.
So what I told someone said to me, did you not notice that they changed the theme? I said, I noticed that they changed the name,
right,
and kept the theme. Mm-hmm. It's still the same thing.
They threw the word community in there.
It's still the same thing.
And it's
the
season.
The season. And because we put Christmas trees and little bows and balls on it, don't make it a Christmas parade. Mm-mm. It doesn't. It ain't. It don't get my vote. They don't get my vote.
I'll be at home twinkling my toes, drinking some hot chocolate with extra marshmallows on that particular day.
I just don't see the need to combine the two.
Well, first of all, it's not even 2026 yet. So you're celebrating the 250.
It ain't even got there.
Yeah, it hadn't got here yet. You have an entire year to do this.
I think what kind of bothers a lot of people, myself included, kind of goes back to the whole concept of Christian nationalism. We get uncomfortable when we see Christianity and patriotism blending together so tightly. And for a lot of people, it's a religion in and of itself. You know, you can't worship the cross without having the United States flag there to salute as well. And when you go to any county council meeting or any public meeting, you're opening up of the Bible class, essentially. Yeah. It's lengthy prayers, it's quotes from scriptures, and then you get down to the people's business.
Yeah.
And I've always been uncomfortable with that because that means you are selecting a religion right out of the gate in order to conduct professional business. And this is a city-sponsored parade for Christmas, which is a religious holiday, but now you're really trying to cram in patriotism and Americanism into that mix.
I guess my issue with the original and then what do we want to call it? Plan B?
Plan B.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is still the same here. These ideas and these thoughts are being pushed out into the public, and it impacts a large amount of its citizens. So if you were truly aware of the people that you serve, somebody should have tapped somebody on the shoulder and said, maybe we need to do something a little different before we let this go. But no one is looking at the impact that this has. Greenwood City is predominantly black.
Yes, it is.
And so to slap black folk in the face, you say, come on, we're going to party like it's 1776.
Right. So, Teresa, what are you going to say to the rumors that you are holding a competing parade? Is that true that you're organizing a counter parade to this parade?
I would defer to answer. Listen, I'm going to tell you the truth that I would defer to answer that, but there are enough conversations that if we want to have that can happen. One of the things that we're not going to do is just keep asking to be heard and to be seen. Those days are long gone.
Right.
If you are going to plan something and you are in an elected position that represents a city that has different cultural concepts, respect those cultural concepts or get up out that seat.
And here's the other thing to that. If you live in the city and you're a person of color, pay attention.
Come on.
Pay attention. If you have not exercised your right that people died for to vote, pay attention. Get your behinds up and go vote, because these folks are telling you that they don't even count you in to make a decision. And that is an issue for me.
Let me tell y'all something. I had a conversation with somebody. I know Bill got an agenda, but there's a conversation I had with somebody who brought something to my attention I never thought about. Did you know that in Greenwood, our city manager position is not an elected position? Nobody really thinks about that position not being an elected position. So you typically hire the assistant. And if the city manager goes, then you promote that assistant manager, right? That's typically what happens. That's a problem. I think that's a problem. And when I had this conversation with this person, I went, I never thought about that. That's something that we need to dive into, because if this is going to be a position that really represents all of the city of Greenwood, then the city of Greenwood should have some impact on who sits in that chair.
Well, let me give you another viewpoint to look at it from. If the employees and the decision makers for the city of Greenwood were diverse, even if it was a hired position, which it is, then you would have diverse voices who would be able to represent various parts of the community.
True.
Which is one of the problems, is why that thing went over the first time, because you did not have diverse voices, thought processes. It was cute. It was, oh, okay, and let's do it. And there was also some autonomy of the folks who selected it, who didn't bother to run it by anybody else.
True.
And so those are issues. And so diversity, what diversity does is brings in different thought processes. It brings in different points of views. It brings in different experiences. And those things all play to make the world better. Let's talk specifically about Greenwood. It makes Greenwood better when all three of us can share our educated point of views, our feeling point of views, our experience point of views, so that we make a decision that best represents everybody. Back to my post, one of the things that I said in the post was a parade should want to bring unity to our community. It should represent everybody. Everybody who wants to come to that parade should come, feel welcome, and feel a part of it.
That's it.
And that was my issue from the start. I don't feel welcome. I don't feel a part. But I also think that was a strategic move because maybe we want you not to feel a part.
The 2,000 comments under your post showed a lot of community unity, let me tell you.
Yeah. So I want to thank them for posting that, because that's the unity or the catalyst or the enzyme that we needed to let you know that there is a unified front here, and you just bumped into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
From episode 63, Bring Me My Angry Wig, released on June 18th, 2025.
The last news item for today is personal to me because I've said this before, Jamil. I've claimed it before, and I still maintain that the appointment of RFK Jr. to head the Health and Human Services Division in our country was the most dangerous appointment of them all.
Yeah.
Normally, any other presidency, I don't know any of the cabinet names. I could barely remember half of Biden's cabinet. Trump, I know them all. Christie Noem, Pete Hegseth. You got all the losers together. The McMahon A1 sauce lady, right? Yeah. They're all just complete idiots and incompetents. But to me, the most dangerous is RFK Jr. And so many things have happened just in the past month that I think it's worth just quickly going through them so you can see them together in a bunch and see the impact this is going to have on our country.
Okay.
Well, I got to tell you this. I actually belong to an underground social media network that I'm not at liberty to talk about. And I actually have in my possession a secretly recorded audio clip of RFK Jr. in a cabinet meeting. And you can hear what may be in store for the rest of the country. You ready for this?
Yeah, Bill.
All right. Let's listen.
Thank you to Dr. Mark Hyman, who's been my friend and partner on these issues for over 20 years. Vonnie Harry, who's been an extraordinary leader, and then Marty McCary. I'm so grateful that you agreed to join the administration. And Jay Bhattacharya, will you guys come up here? And this man behind me. We have an amazing team at HHS.
Isn't that something? I am so grateful. I can't tell you how I got a hold of that recording.
My gosh. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, that is what we're in store for. You can hear the whooping cough is starting to spread throughout the country thanks to RFK Jr. Do you have any idea how long it took me to put that together? I had so much fun with that. It's not even funny. I should show you the process. All right, but let me get serious for a second.
God.
So I'm just going to run through a couple of quick news headlines and some highlights, but we're not going to dwell long here. First, talking about the Trump tax bill and this big, beautiful bill, et cetera, the analysis has found that nearly 11 million Americans would lose insurance under this bill. Yeah. And this is from USA Today. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said that about 10.9 million Americans would lose health insurance through 2034 under the bill, which also includes 1.4 million undocumented residents who get coverage through state-funded programs. So it's not even federal money that's doing it, it's state money, but they're going to make it illegal for the states to do so in this bill. So this legislation also would require non-disabled Americans on Medicaid to work at least 80 hours per month or qualify for an exemption, such as being a student or a caregiver. But even there, it's going to be rife with no's. I mean, you've seen the red tape you have to go through. These are going to be automatic no's without any care for your situation. So they're just going to let people be sick. I mean, they're on Medicaid for a reason, and they're just going to let them be sick and die as a result. So that's the tax bill. Then you get to a revealed report that RFK Jr. had promised to deliver, which would be the state of the health of the country. They called it MAHA, you know? Yeah. It means Make America Hazardous again. But this MAHA report that they touted with great fanfare, well, one group called Notice. Now, Notice is a nonprofit news organization that stands for News of the United States, Notice. It's a nonprofit, nonpartisan news group. They actually went through that bill in detail and looked at all of the references that are made at the end. So this study, that study, this report, and found that many of those studies didn't exist. Some were completely invented. It cited more than 500 studies and other sources to back up its claims. Those citations, though, are rife with errors from broken links to misstated conclusions, meaning the report says this when it actually said something else. So, for example, the most damning instances were at least 7 studies that simply didn't exist. For instance, the MAHA report claims that drug advertising has led to a rise in ADHD and depression prescriptions being written for children. But try to find that study that's cited in the report. You can't, because that study doesn't exist. Notice has other examples of fake studies that it found. The report referenced a paper published in the journal Pediatrics that referred to how screen time impacted sleep in children. The paper was real, but it wasn't in pediatrics, and it didn't study children. It looked at adults. The report was littered with errors like that. So the White House comes out, the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, referred to any errors as formatting issues.
Girl.
Right? So this is a completely invented report that they didn't expect anybody to read and have been caught on their lies. And they call them formatting issues. So that was their big report that they're going to base all of their policies off of. But it gets worse. RFK Jr. may bar government scientists from publishing in medical journals. This comes from The Hill. Mm-hmm. He says he will ban government scientists from publishing in leading medical journals and propose creating an in-house publication by the department. Quote, "We are probably going to stop publishing in The Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, and those other journals because they are all corrupt," he said on a podcast. He's calling the New England Journal of Medicine Lancet. I know of Lancet, and I'm not even a scientist. He's calling them corrupt, and he's going to go publish it himself. All right, it gets worse. So the United States, in one of Donald Trump's first actions upon taking office, was to pull out of the World Health Organization. Because why would you want to coordinate with other nations on worldwide pandemics or plagues or things like that? So he's pulled out. Argentina, which also has their own little Donald Trump there, a guy named Javier Milei. Those two countries have pulled out of the World Health Organization. In fact, that President Javier Milei, he was standing next to Elon Musk when Elon Musk was running around with the chainsaw on stage. You may have seen that photo. Mm-hmm. This Argentine president, he was right next to him enjoying it all up as a guest. So anyhow, This is where it gets nuts. On a post on X, Kennedy says he met with Milei to discuss the creation of an alternative international health system based on gold standard science and free from totalitarian impulses, corruption, and political control. So he is going to create another World Health Organization with this nut job down in Argentina.
If anybody knows the work of WHO, that is the most unbiased organization ever.
Yeah. And then the last note here, and this is a really, really scary one. RFK Jr. is a known anti-vaccine nut. He has removed all 17 members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. And this is according to ABC News. He just let them go and is going to replace them with new members who are more aligned with anti-vaccine propaganda. This is the Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices, ACIP. They make recommendations on safety, efficacy, clinical needs of vaccines. They are well-respected scientists and professionals in the field. And when going through the vetting process, Kennedy said in a Senate hearing that he would not touch ACIP. Senator Bill Cassidy, he's a Republican for Louisiana, and I believe he's a dentist or some doctor of some sort. He's got some knowledge in the medical field. He was nervous about Kennedy, but he said that he had initially struggled with Kennedy's nomination for HHS secretary before voting to confirm him because Kennedy had promised him no changes would be made to the ACIP. And just the other day, he let go of that entire committee. So Dr. Richard Besser, who's the president and CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, you heard of them? They're a big deal with a lot of money to do medical research. He's also the former acting director of the CDC, said that Kennedy's move should erase any remaining doubt that he intends to impose his personal anti-vaccine agenda on the American people. So these actions that are taken by this nut job, remember our very first podcast was about this guy.
Yeah, it sure was.
Who was running for president as a Democratic nominee.
He sure was.
And now, in my opinion, he is going to result in more deaths of Americans and globally than any other individual in that cabinet.
And I blame every one of them fools that voted to confirm that lunatic.
Oh.
Gosh.
From episode 67, Damn, I Almost Got Emotional, released on August 6th, 2025.
Your South Carolina representatives at work.
Or not.
Right. We always start off by talking about what's happening in Columbia. Our elected officials. Is it truly the clown show down there that we think it is? Or are they doing some? Okay. Well, you didn't let me get to the so we'll just go with the clown show. No. Not going to argue with you there. So our clip this week is from a full state house meeting.
Okay.
There is, 130 something state house representatives that all get together in a huge room, and they meet for many hours at a time and go over a lot of things.
Yeah.
This particular meeting was spent maybe 4 or 5 hours on house rules.
Okay.
So basically it's the code of decorum and processes and who's allowed to do what and when. And it's all just internal regulations, not laws that apply to you and I, but kind of laws that apply inside the house so they can conduct their business.
Okay.
So they had some changes, and Micah Caskey, we've seen him a couple of times. He was in charge of the rules committee and he explained the rules, etc. Well, those changes were not received well by all the Democrats and the extreme Freedom Caucus.
What?
So there were complaints raised that they were not given enough time to look at these rules because they had just passed out of subcommittee at, say, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and here they were at 3 p.m. Getting ready to vote on these rules. So not a lot of time to look at them. The Democrats said we would love to have some more time. The Freedom Caucus says we would love to have more time to look at these. We're kind of rushing too fast here. But they approach it differently, as you can imagine.
Yes.
The Democratic representative says, hey, I move that we adjourn and vote on this tomorrow, or I move that we do another 3 hours from now. Let's reconvene then. Like they were being reasonable. The Freedom Caucus was all about, you're betraying the people and you're this is not transparency. And it was very vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This clip is Representative Kathy Landing. I'll call her a normie Republican from Charleston. And she was in favor of the rule changes, but she complains about the tactics used by those in opposition to the bill. Okay. Let's watch.
Good evening, fellow House members and anyone who's able to watch online. I have not had any time to think about or practice what I'm about to say, but I feel very strongly about it and was moved to come up here tonight.
So I want to pause right here. When they come up unrehearsed, that there's something emotional going on.
Yes.
Let's see what she has to say.
In 2020 and 2021, when I was on town council in Mount Pleasant, I was one of 2 people who stood up against a mask ordinance. And because I was very strong in this position, I received numerous texts and phone calls saying to me things like, you have blood on your hands, and it's your fault if my family member dies. But you know what? That was my town phone. And although it was painful and I knew they were wrong and I knew they misunderstood the message, I knew they misunderstood my motives, I was okay with it because that was my town phone. I have now been texted and called numerous times this afternoon from total strangers because I gave my phone number to a couple of my friends in a certain caucus in this body. My number that I've had for over 20 years now. And I will have to change my number because even though I am accessible and my constituents know I am, I now have people all over the state who don't understand what actually has happened here today and yesterday. And we were informed of these House rules, and it is my understanding that others were informed as well. So I think a lot of this is performative. If you know me, you know I am a very strong conservative. I am probably the main reason that we didn't have first responders walking off the job back in 2021 because we had stripped through my ordinance, my change to an ordinance, the ability for one person to demand that everybody get vaccines. I'm a very strong conservative standing up for people's rights, and it irritates the heck out of me that someone would violate my personal information that I have never given out to the public. Not that I'm against the public, I'm happy to talk to folks, but come on, there are times where you have to have some privacy. So I just want people to know tonight, this is performative. This is not about your rights. That new resolution actually calls for videoing and recording of all meetings that aren't already streamed. And when I was on the Education Committee, we actually did have our meetings streamed online. So wherever possible, we were already going to do this. A lot of these amendments that have been brought were redundant from what was already going to be done, or would have actually made it very difficult to do anything. The purpose of this resolution, from my understanding, listening, was so that we would be able to streamline our processes a little bit and get a lot more done for the people of South Carolina. And one of the things I campaigned on this year is that we waste so darn much time. I am a business person, and it drives me nuts how much of our taxpayer time is wasted on performative speeches up here that don't mean anything. So I want the voters and the people out there listening to realize that we are doing our best job for you up here. And when you hear people, or you see these emails last minute go out, don't believe everything you read and see. Because everyone in this room is trying to do the best they can for their constituents, and anyone who points fingers at anyone else otherwise is simply trying to make a name for themselves or raise money on that. Thank you.
Somebody made her mad.
She a liar too.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of tough to develop sympathy for somebody who was anti-mask, anti-vax, but
Exactly.
I still get the point when you watch extreme Republicans turning on other Republicans, giving out personal phone numbers, things like that.
Yeah.
You can just see how nasty it can get.
Yeah, but they are, we've said this before, they'll eat their young.
Yes, they will eat their young. They will tear one another apart if it furthers their agenda.
Yeah.
They don't care who they throw under the bus.
Yeah, and there it is right there for them to do that.
And we've seen that pattern over and over. This wasn't an isolated incident. We've seen mother members get up and complain about text messages they've been getting or texts that have been sent into the districts. And
but they cross the line.
But, doxing is never okay. Like, I don't care who you are, what your platform is. Your personal information should stay private. It really should. You know, she is a person in government. We can contact her 1,000 different ways, right? We don't have to divulge that personal information.
And I think by doing so, you have the ability to desensitize a certain phone. So let's just say if you have 2 or 3 phones, you know, if that primary phone that your family members have ring, that's your sense of urgency. Let me grab that.
Yes.
But now that it's been given to people, those people are going to give it to somebody else. And now she doesn't have the ability to be sensitive to that because you never know who's calling.
Doxing is bad unless your name is Senator Matt Leber. I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard about this yet? Has it hit your feeds yet?
I think it did, but I didn't.
All right. Senator Matt Leber is one of the extreme senators. He's the one that knocked out Senator Sandy Senn.
That's right. Didn't his wife tell on him?
Yeah.
My bad.
So this is an extreme family values senator who knocked out a fellow female Republican because she had been against that, horrible abortion ban.
Yeah.
But so he gets in that role, and he's faith and family and family values.
Family first.
And yesterday his wife starts trashing him online. She found his phone, apparently, got into some of his text messages and discovered he was having an affair. So this is a Moms for Liberty chair or board member in Charleston. Married to a cheater. And she posted his text messages, pictures that they drew of each other.
She should have.
Good for her.
Yeah, and it's a deleted post now, but shoot, it's already gone out there. I got copies of it even. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing that frustrates me. And I keep saying these are the same people that would turn everybody away from anything that's religious because they are using Christianity as like the shield or the cloak to hide behind. But if you remove it, you got monsters on the other side. And then you take these beautiful campaign pictures, everybody's smiling for those 5 minutes, and then you're a monster. And you say Moms for Liberty. Aren't they dealing with RJ?
Yeah.
Like Moms for Liberty got some really crazy people associated with them so far.
Are you sensing a pattern?
I see it.
Moms for Liberty, we have like the men's groups that are really extreme, but Moms for Liberty is like the women's version of that. It is that other extreme where these people feel like they're just, I'm doing so good, but you're literally tearing families and children apart.
From episode 71, Some Diamonds Come From Those Little Places. Released on September 17th, 2025.
A Black, White, and Blue in the South exclusive.
We welcome Vicki Ringer to Black, White, and Blue in the South. Hello, Miss Vicki.
Hi, y'all. Good to be here.
First, we want to say thank you for making time to speak with us. You were on our to-get list forever, and I was always like, nah, she's too busy. She's too big. She won't have time for us. And then, boom, there you are.
There you are.
Not true. You just have to ask.
That's it. We're ready.
Well, we asked President Obama. He hasn't responded yet. So we tried.
Yeah.
So we settled for you instead.
Now that I've done it, he'll follow up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're paving the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But we are, I got to say from the outset, I'm a little starstruck. We're huge fans of yours, believe it or not.
Yes.
We've mentioned you and covered you several times on our podcast over the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. So you are this figure that we've spoken over Zoom in the past when we were doing our candidacies, but we've never met you in person.
Yeah.
So this is the closest that we've got. At least I haven't met you in person. Have you met her, Jamil?
I have not.
You have?
Well, we had
I met both of you in person.
Well, those weren't really like in person.
When was that in person?
I think, Jamel, were you at the Wofford College for the...
Both of us were.
Yeah, we were there for this Sprat Issues conference.
But that was so quick. And this is more
Bill,
of
I've actually met you a couple of times. I think maybe at the that Blue Palmetto dinner.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm 90 years old, so my memory is shot. You have to forgive
Well, we're
me.
not going to discuss age.
Yes. Oh, it's just a treasure for us to have you here. We're a little starstruck.
We are. We are a little
But before we
excited.
get into that, some quick facts. Vicki, you're from Lexington. Is that your home base?
Yes, I live in Lexington. I'm originally from a little town over near the coast called Lakeview. It has no red lights. It has no Hardee's. It has no McDonald's. It's very tiny.
Okay, so that's why we relate so well, because I'm from a little town called Ward, and we don't have any of that either. So
exactly.
What are these third world countries you're from that don't have McDonald's and Hardee's?
But do you recognize what they produce? They produce great talent. Awesome
They
diamonds
do.
come from those little places.
I loved growing up in that small town.
Yeah, me too.
Things that we didn't have to worry about back then.
Well, Vicki has since landed in civilization, and she is now the director for South Carolina Public Affairs for Planned Parenthood Votes South Atlantic. But you've had a storied career prior to then. So before we get into the Planned Parenthood votes, what have you done with your life up to that point?
Oh, wow. Well, I went to Carolina. That was the big thing. And my intention was to be a journalist. So I started out at a weekly paper in Lexington. My professor at Carolina owned it, and I was the news editor. And then I discovered I was not going to be able to pay my bills from working at a newspaper. So I went into public relations, and that took me from Conway Hospital to the Department of Revenue, to the Department of Public Safety, to electric co-ops of South Carolina, and then Planned Parenthood.
Wow.
So most of my career has been in state government, working as either the press secretary or chief of staff, something along those lines.
You were with the Department of Revenue for 14 years.
Wow.
Sucking us dry of our money. How is that?
Back in the tax commission days, we were tax commission when I started, and then when Carol Campbell reorganized state government, we became Department of Revenue. I will say it was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had, especially before governor's restructuring, because everybody was hired based on talent as opposed to political largesse, and very in tune to doing good work for taxpayers. And it really made me feel good about myself. We told people, if you get a phone call, you own it. We're not going to forward people over and over again to tell their stories and ask for help.
Oh, wow. That's
You sound a lot like our friend Francie Cleckley.
Yeah.
She ran for state senate last year, and she came out of the IRS and had a similar viewpoint. The human face of monetary collection.
Yeah.
Francie lives right around the corner from me. And actually, we're pretty sure we knew each other because we did a lot of work with IRS and the tax commission together. But it is kind of fun having another tax nerd to talk to.
Well, we're going to change our subject to tax talk with Vicki Ringer. Here we go. Well, Vicki, I want to rewind the clock a little bit. I'm going to go back to 2023 when Jamil and I were just a fledgling podcast. And back in episode 21, we highlighted a testimony you gave at the House that I want to play a clip of right now.
Thank you so much. I'm Vicki Ringer. I've not prepared any formal remarks, but I would just like to say, as so many have said before, I know I'm not going to provide new information. The makeup of the board indicates that nothing I say will matter. The fact that we have a full committee meeting tomorrow suggests the same. But this is harmful. There is so much that needs to be done for the benefit of the kids in this state. So to tell me you're protecting kids is such a falsity. It is not true. You are hurting kids. Listen to the parents. Listen to the doctors. You're dictating the practice of medicine, and there is malpractice involved in what you're prescribing. So take more time and talk to these doctors. They know what they're doing. This whole suggestion of a transgender ideology, like it's some nasty thing that's going on. As the Bells testified, as others have testified, this is not a journey anyone wants for their kids. Look at you and what you're doing to the kids. Nobody wants that for them. So listen to the people who are impacted and get out of your mind the far reaches, the polarizing comments on the far right. Listen to mainstream Americans, doctors, and parents. They know best what's right for their kids, and you tell us that every day. They know what's best. Listen to them now. Thank you.
Vicki, thank you for your testimony.
That's when we knew we were in love. That's when we knew.
We watched that, and we did a 2-part episode on the transgender bill from that year, and that was one of the highlights. Because first of all, it was very short. You were more direct than anybody else. I mean, there were tears that we saw. There were impassioned pleas. There were goosebump testimonies. But yours went right to the gut.
Yeah.
Like you didn't sugarcoat a single word. You delivered exactly what needed to be delivered.
And I think the most important part was that you led with, I didn't prepare anything. So where you came from was historical context. You came from a place of passion, and you could relate it to facts. I love that part.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I hate what has become a wedge issue for the far right. And as I've gotten to know parents of transgender children, you just can't know these people and think that they're inflicting any harm or ideology on them. They just want their kid to live and to smile again. And that's what we got out of that hearing.
Wow.
But they had their minds made up before we ever stepped foot in that room.
The highlight for me was when you said, "Look at you."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who would want this harassment voluntarily, right?
No, the one that's when she said, you can look at the makeup of the board and tell that decision's already been made. That's
so, Vicki,
it.
you've been to the Capitol many times to testify, and I would say probably 99% of the time it falls on deaf ears or does not lead to the outcome that you were hoping for. What motivates you to keep going? Why don't you just throw your hands up in the air and say, F it, this is impossible. Why even bother? What motivates you?
Well, I will tell you, Bill, there are times when I'm at the State House and I feel like I want to go outside and just scream because they do not listen. They're not listening to voters. They're not listening to experts. They're not listening to doctors. They are listening to that small group of primary voters. And even then, what we know about reproductive health in South Carolina is that about 80% support abortion rights in some or all cases. People who want it outlawed or illegal, it's only about 12%. But yet these people who are making the laws are listening to the 12% and not the 80%.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they are even listening to the 12%. I sometimes have to question what is the true motive behind this aggressive level of a push. And I'm not sure that it is reflective of South Carolinians at all. I think there's more of a personal vendetta. And if we look at the 3 individuals who co-sponsored the bill that we're going to talk about. Those 3 individuals, all men, should not have a deciding vote on what a woman does. And so this issue of, and I want us to get to, just to be able to speak about it a little bit more, this issue to Planned Parenthood's existence is more evolved than people understand. And so this is going to be a great opportunity to speak levels to what exactly can occur with Planned Parenthood's existence. But I believe the status or the attack for these three co-sponsors is to narrow down the effectiveness of such a necessary organization to make it look as if it is not health care. So we'll get to talk to that. I'll calm down. But yeah, I wonder what their true intent is.
There's a lot to say.
Yeah, before we get into that, Vicki, spend a couple minutes here describing your current role with Planned Parenthood votes and how that's separate from Planned Parenthood organization itself. Let's give our listeners a little background as to what you do now and why you're here.
Good question, because that always confuses people. I actually work for two organizations. There's Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, which was the original parent organization. It's a nonprofit, and it oversees our health centers in South Carolina, Columbia and Charleston. I also work for Planned Parenthood Votes South Atlantic, and that's a C4 nonprofit. It's established to do political work, advocacy, and because it's partisan, generally the donations are not tax deductible to a C4 organization. But what you will hear are a lot of people saying, if Planned Parenthood has all that money to donate to Democrats, then they don't need Medicaid money. And what they don't realize is that we're not donating tax dollars to candidates. We have raised that money from donations, and people gave us that money for this purpose, and they know they didn't get a tax write-off for it. But generally, from January to May, I'm at the State House as the lobbyist, and that's another bad word that people don't generally like, but I'm an advocate for women's health and reproductive rights and everybody's health, because you really can't separate it all out. And men also have health problems that we treat, that we specialize in. But during election years, and actually starting about now, we're 14 months out, then we get started on helping candidates win elections. As our national president always said, we didn't start as a political organization. It is because politicians have forced us into becoming one in order to protect our patients and the health care that they've come to depend on from us.
That's powerful.
How much reproductive education do you provide? And I'm talking specifically to the male members of the legislative body, because I'm thinking of the entire population of this state. That's the group that needs it the most.
Well, and I can give you a perfect example. In this new bill that we're going to be talking about, Senate Bill 323, it redefines contraceptives as only something that prevents ovulation. It cannot prevent anything else. So tell me you know nothing about how birth control works if all you're going to do is stop ovulation. Because most birth control pills have a kind of a fallback method. It may stop ovulation, but it may also thicken the cervix or make it hard for a fertilized egg to implant in the uterus. And all of that sounds really freaky and things that I didn't, honestly, when I had my child, I don't think I knew about all that stuff or didn't pay a lot of attention to it. But of course, I went to school in South Carolina where we did not have true sex education, just knowing about how our bodies work. But what they truly do want to do is ban all birth control. The far right has specifically said that birth control is an abortifacient, which means it causes an abortion. And that's just absolutely not true. Only abortion medication can cause an abortion. But things like IUDs, which may work to prevent implantation of a fertilized egg, They believe that that fertilized egg is a person, whether it has been implanted in the uterus or not. And they don't believe that IUDs should be allowed. So that's why they've changed the definition of contraceptives. But even birth control pills work by making the uterus a hostile environment for a fertilized egg.
Wow. Are we going to have uterus police?
Probably so. Maybe that's
that has been my question. Are we going to line folks up and do inspections? You know, that's kind of what they have in mind for transgender people too, you know?
Oh, it is. Do you recall when Tim Scott sent out that fundraising mailer about women wanting abortions up until the 12th month of pregnancy?
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. And I'm like, come on, Tim.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Black, White, and Blue in the South. We hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Please take a quick minute and leave us a rating and review of this show. We really want to know what you think. Your reviews help others find us, and every time we get one, a member of Trump's cabinet tenders their resignation. If you are a blue dot in a red sea, keep the faith. Keep up the hard work. Change only happens over many years of work and dedication. As former President Lyndon B. Johnson once said, "The vote is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice and destroying the terrible walls which imprison men because they are different from other men."
The end.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2026.